Hello everybody, and most welcome to what, for the moment at least, will be the last video in the series about Black's exchange sacrifice Rook takes Charlie 3 in the Sicilian defense. It doesn't mean that we won't come back and add more videos to it, but I think it makes sense to continue broadening our studies a little bit, and you are most welcome to come with suggestions what I will go through. I don't think it should be, for example, an opening studies channel, although as you already noticed, what I went through in the first series about the overprotection of the Echo 5 square mainly focused on the French defense and the advanced variations. So I think you can have it, if you so wish, as a kind of start out for building your own repertoire. Of course, it is not covering everything, but a lot of ideas will appear in other lines in the advanced French also, and yeah, I think you can have it as a building block, as well as we have now focused on the Sicilian, the Najdorf, and the Dragon. Of course, it is so much more to study there, but okay, I relate themes to specific openings, at least to a large extent. If I would go through only one variation, an opening very carefully, a lot of you who don't play that opening might lose interest, so I thought also it is better to give you a good foundation. You will get broad and basic chess knowledge. Actually, not only basic, I think some things that I go through might even be not at all self-evident that a player on 2200 would know either. So, although I hope the material can be helpful for players on far lower levels, I think we cover broad general topics. And I must confess that when I was playing chess a lot, then we are talking 30 years ago, then I didn't have this knowledge. I had to make the calculations myself over the board, and sometimes I played like an idiot because I simply didn't have that basic knowledge because I never had a trainer. Now I worked as a coach many decades and I understand more chess, although I don't play so much, and as you are aging, your brain starts to rotten so that you lose focus and concentration earlier in the game. Then, when I was 20 years, I could work harder and compensate for my bad chess understanding. Anyway, so that is my thought. I will also, I think, start with having two topics at the same time. We should also cover a bit of endgames. So I think I will go through 2 or 3 things at the same time, so that those who are not specifically interested in one theme anyway will have something to study. Yeah, sorry for this prolonged introduction. If you like what I do, please like and hit the subscribe button and share so that more people can get to know about these channels, which I think so far is the only accessible channel for blind chess players, and that can also be beneficial, as I hope, for players whatever sight you have, so to say. And if you also want to read the moves and the video timestamps when a certain position is discussed in the video, please open the description and you will find it all there. So, now we put another timestamp here, and we set up with a game. I played white, and we are back in 1991, I think it was. I have to check it. I played white against another Swedish player, a sighted one, Rune Evertsson. We played in a tournament called the Rilton Cup. It still exists. It was, and still is, a very strong tournament. Okay, not like the ever strongest, but my opponent had a strength about 2200, and I think at that time you have to be a bit stronger to have 2200 than you need to today. We had fewer tournaments, for example, in Sweden, and it was more difficult to develop a strength as a chess player that time. So those on 2200 were pretty strong, I would say. Myself, I had 2290, and yeah, in Rilton Cup, I think Rune was the lowest rated player, and then I played even against some grandmasters and made a decent result. Okay, I played Echo 4, pawn to Echo 4. And as we are studying the Sicilian defense, we have pawn to Charlie 5, pawn to Charlie 5. I went on with knight Foxtrot 3, knight to Foxtrot 3. Black played pawn to Delta 6, pawn to Delta 6. And that still keeps it flexible. Black can play the Najdorf or the Dragon, which will be the case here, or Scheveningen, for example, when we go on. White goes for the open Sicilian, pawn to Delta 4. At that time, I was a full-time player and coach. I started with coaching and made my life out of playing and coaching after high school, and that was in 1987. So I was still making progress, although I, for personal reasons, had to stop playing full-time a year afterwards. Then I went to university studies instead, which also was great fun. Okay, black plays Charlie takes Delta 4. Charlie takes Delta 4. Knight takes Delta 4. Knight takes Delta 4. Knight to Foxtrot 6. Knight to Foxtrot 6. And white goes Knight Charlie 3. Knight to Charlie 3. And this position would be familiar for all of us now. Black plays pawn to Golf 6. Pawn to Golf 6. And I thought it made sense to have this game after what we saw in the Nakamura game. That was the previous video. That also was the Dragon defense, the Dragon variation in the Sicilian defense. I went for Bishop to Echo 3. Bishop to Echo 3. Black played Bishop Golf 7. Bishop to Golf 7. I pushed on Foxtrot 3. Pawn to Foxtrot 3. And we recognize this pattern both from when Black had played the Najdorf with Alpha 6 instead of Golf 6, but then it's called the English attack. Here it is the Yugoslav attack when it is against the Dragon. The same setup as Naroditsky chose against Nakamura in the previous video. Black castles kingside. Castles kingside. And white played Queen Delta 2. Queen to Delta 2. Black played Knight Charlie 6. Knight to Charlie 6. And here we are at crossroads. I would say that the most fashionable move today would be castles queenside here. that is not at all a new move. I studied it back in the early 1980s, but then it was already an old line. And there we have the fashionable, if we imagine that white plays castles queenside, we have the very imaginative, the Konstantinopolsky pawn sacrifice with pawn to delta 5 that actually led to my first junior world championship title in I think it was 1985. Yeah, I think, or 86 maybe. Yeah, I have to check it. The tournament went on about New Year's. So anyway, but I played what we said together, aside from castles queenside, white usually goes for bishop Charlie 4, bishop to Charlie 4. So that stops the sacrifice pawn delta 5. I don't go into detail why pawn delta 5 is such a interesting and strong move after castles queenside, but for our purpose it is enough to note that bishop Charlie 4, among other things, the bishop is well placed on Charlie 4, also aims at stopping delta 5. You can now just capture with a piece. Black played bishop delta 7, bishop delta 7. And yeah, here today, if I recall correctly, Nxd4, the super strong super grandmaster from the Netherlands, in his chessable course, if I recall correctly, instead of bishop delta 7 recommends knight takes delta 4, and if white then plays bishop takes delta 4, goes for bishop equals 6. This I think I mentioned a little bit in the previous videos, that nowadays black has found many resourceful ways of equalizing by swapping off a couple of pieces, minor pieces. So the nature of the dragon has changed dramatically since this game was played more than 30 years ago. In this game, we are still in the slam bang crash mode of the dragon variation. White played hotel 4, pawn to hotel 4. And at that time there were some discussions about the nuances here. One thought it was a little bit more precise to start with hotel 4 than castle in queenside. Black pushed pawn to hotel 5, pawn to hotel 5. And at that time still rook Charlie 8 was quite a decent option to playing hotel 5. And I played when I played the dragon, I often went for that line, but nowadays that line has come a bit under a cloud. White has found many good ways, or basically one good, but one good way is enough, if it is a good way, to play for an advantage. I also lost a game maybe a decade ago when I tried the dragon in the elite league in the Swedish team championship. Let's say I went for bishop to bravo 3, bishop to bravo 3, and black played rook Charlie 8, rook to Charlie 8. I think the dragon looks very nice, I must say. The black pieces are harmoniously placed. The bishop on golf 7 is a really strong piece. And yeah, the pawn structure is very solid. Black doesn't have any weaknesses. The only thing I don't like about the dragon is that it is not so easy to play dynamic pawn pushes with black. As for example, if you have the pawn on Qx6 instead, then you can opt for pawn delta 5 and such things. You might remember the game between Magnusson and Kasparov earlier on in this course about the rook, the exchange attack on Charlie 3. There we had black pushing delta 5 and bravo 4, because that was with the Najdorf that then became a Scheveningen in defense, with pawns on alpha 6 and echo 6, then bravo 5, and later on delta 5 are possibilities. Here, that is more difficult if black starts to play echo 6 in the dragon. Because of the bishop's placement on golf 7, then delta 6 will become very weak. So that doesn't often happen. So in the dragon, it is more about playing in the pieces, like Nakamura, for example, demonstrated very successfully. Or maybe just very much later on start to push the pawns on the queen side. We will see the pawn pushes here in this game as well. But at the same time, black has very, very few weaknesses in the dragon. So it's so stable, so you don't. One could argue that you don't need those dynamic pawn pushes, at least not early on. Yeah. Okay, we go on for castle's queen side. Castle's queen side. And black plays knight echo 5. And it is time for another timestamp. Sometimes when I comment, I forget to put in the timestamp. Sorry for that, but I do it now and then. Hope frequently enough to be helpful. Knight to echo 5. Here we have, this can be said to be the starting tabia of this variation of the dragon when black has played Hotel 5 against Hotel 4. For a long time, it might still be so. Bishop Golf 5 was the main variation here with a lot of theory. King to Bravo 1 is also interesting. But the move I played was a bit of a sideline. Not so much. It was one of the more common moves, but not at all as heavily theoretical as Bishop to Golf 5. And although it is long ago, as I didn't expect to play against the dragon that day, I don't remember how it was when I got to know the pairings. But in general, sometimes I sneaked away from the most well-trodden ways in order to get an unbalanced position where my opponent might be so much better prepared than myself. The dragon players tend to, including myself, to only play the dragon, and they are experts in it. So if you then can skip a bit of theory and anyway get an interesting and unbalanced position, that was normally what I did. And I played Bishop to Hotel 6. Bishop to Hotel 6. And this is a very committal move, and you will see why in a minute. The idea, of course, is to swap bishops, and then in that way weaken the black's king's position. Then white normally wants to push Golf 4, and if black takes hotel points Golf 4, often push continues with Foxtrot 4, maybe trying to break through in the center with Echo 5 later on. Or, white can also go for the push Hotel 5 if black has played Hotel takes Golf 4. Anyway, it comes with a cost. It has a price. Bishop takes hotel 6 was black's reply, which is by far the best move. And white plays queen takes hotel 6. Queen takes hotel 6. Yeah, we are still in well-known theory. And black now goes for the typical exchange sack that is the theme of this series. Rook takes Charlie 3. Rook takes Charlie 3. And it recaptures Bravo takes Charlie 3. Bravo takes Charlie 3. Yeah, now we should think of what we actually got here. White is the exchange up, but has quite weak king's position. The bishop on Bravo 3 is an important piece when it comes to defending. Black often will grab the Charlie 3 pawn with the queen, playing either queen to Charlie 7 as we see in this game, or queen to Alpha 5, and then take on Charlie 3. You can imagine that the queen lands on Charlie 3. Then often black goes with the knight from Echo 5 to Charlie 4. And then the queen and the knight, black's queen on Charlie 3 and the knight on Charlie 4, starts to threaten the white king very much. The queen can go down to Bravo 2, which would mean checkmate. White's standard defense here is to tap the king to Bravo 1, because when black's knight lands on Charlie 4 when the queen is already on Charlie 3, then white's queen can drop back to Charlie 1, covering the squares Bravo 2 and Alpha 3. Then black continues with trying to mobilize the king's rook, going to Charlie 8, maybe rook Charlie 5, so on, to put it in an active place. Maybe continue with pawn to Bravo 5, followed by knight to Charlie 4, so that the Bravo pawn can capture on Charlie 4, which is normally not advisable, but it can be a plan. It is normally a little bit too slow. But another plan that we will see in the game also is to push the alpha pawn maybe up to Alpha 4, so that the bishop on Bravo 3 will have problems, and if you get rid of it, then the knight can land on Charlie 4 without being captured. At the same time, white tries to defend with queen to Charlie 1. If a knight lands on Charlie 4, the rook might go to Delta 3, threatening the queen that we imagine is on Charlie 3, trying to activate the pieces bit by bit, and then hope that the material in the long run will tell. And of course, white is not without attacking opportunities himself either, because white can push pawn to Golf 4 and try to break up the black the pawn structure at the black king's position, in the king's position. So these are the general themes that we have. I would say that white has a small advantage, but you really need to play with energy, and you must be really fond of calculating a lot. We can see that both sides, both me and my opponent, enjoyed calculations, tasks, so to say. So that is a part of it, because even when the chess engine says, no, now you're 1 pawn up, there still will be a lot of calculations that can be needed, that can be difficult to carry through for a human being. All right. Black played queen to Charlie 7. Queen to Charlie 7. So, and yeah, the idea is, of course, to play queen to Charlie 3. White prophylactically played king to Bravo 1. King to Bravo 1. You need to cover Bravo Alpha 1 when the black queen takes on Charlie 3. You don't want it to continue down to Alpha 1 check, and you have to run with the king up to Delta 2, for example. So King Bravo 1 is a safer place, and also giving room for the white queen so that it can return as a savior of the white king, going to Charlie 1. Black played Rook Charlie 8. Rook to Charlie 8. Now black is fully, so to say, fully organized to all the black pieces are now involved in the attack. They are mobilized. That was the word I was looking for. White also now can go for the attack, and that is what I did. And going for a counter attack is not always just a matter of attacking. It is also a matter of defending. Because if I can create threats against the enemy king, black has to keep some pieces in the defense of the king, so that will actually limit black's attacking chances to my king. White played pawn to golf 4. Pawn to golf 4. And that is, of course, then a part of this idea. We can then see that if black now takes with hotel takes golf 4, white might push pawn to foxtrot 4 and then pawn to echo 5, for example, trying to open files. You remember from the Naroditsky game that thing that I stressed was, if you are the exchange up, try to open files, even if you have to sack a pawn or two for it. Another way it can be for white to, after hotel takes golf 4, is to push hotel 5. This is not an opening course, so I just point out these different opportunities. Normally, it is a bit dangerous for black to take on golf 4 here. But of course, white really has to watch out himself. Another thing that can be something to keep in mind is that if black doesn't play energetically here, white might even in the future play knight to echo 2, guarding Charlie 3. But this is normally not, that is less commonly good, because black can then play bishop Bravo 5, for example, and also use the bishop in the attack on the white position. And the knight, as we will see in the game, also can be used in the attack on the black king. All right, black now played Alpha 5. Alpha 5. This is considered being a mistake. It is simply yeah, I would say it is too slow. Queen takes Charlie 3 is what is recommended by Stockfish. But Alpha 5 is far from innocent. Black now threatens pawn to Alpha 4. And I don't want to abandon my bishop. For example, if it has to go to Delta 5, Black captures with a knight and then follows up with Queen takes Charlie 3, then I would have very few pieces in the defense on my king. So White has to act quickly, and please pause the video and think a bit of what you would like to do in this position if you were White. Here I played Knight Foxtrot 5, Knight to Foxtrot 5, Knight to Foxtrot 5, and this is a very strong move. You can see that I threaten Queen to Golf 7 checkmate. That's always a good start of the game, putting the opponent in checkmate. So, and I also threaten Knight takes Echo 7, also checkmate actually. If Black would capture on Foxtrot 5 with a golf pawn, then White would open the golf file by playing Golf takes Foxtrot 5 as well, and then the threat of Rook, whatever Rook to Golf 1 would be fatal for Black's health of the king. The king wouldn't really feel nice in such a position. So Golf takes Foxtrot 5 is not the way to go. And here I think I was out of my preparation. This was nothing I had studied, so here I had to start the calculation to calculate myself. I think that was maybe not the same for my opponent, because he pushed Alpha 5, I think, quite quickly. He was well prepared. As I told, the Dragon players normally stick to that opening exclusively because it takes a lot of time to study this very sharp line. But Knight to Foxtrot 5 was placed. Bishop takes Foxtrot 5. Bishop takes Foxtrot 5. More or less the only move, because Black doesn't want to open the golf file. And I played Echo takes Foxtrot 5. Echo takes Foxtrot 5. And I am happy to say that so far I have played the best moves, it seems, according to Stockfish, at least. A Golf takes Foxtrot 5 is also an okay move, but Echo takes is the preferred choice by Stockfish. I don't remember exactly the specific lines that I calculated at that time. It's long ago. But keeping, still having the golf pawn on Golf 4 makes it possible for White later on to further weaken the pawns, the Black's king's position, because White then continues to have the resource Golf takes Hotel 5 at a decent moment. So Black, of course, doesn't sit and watch me crashing through. He plays Queen takes Charlie 3. Queen takes Charlie 3. And now we see the threat of playing Alpha 4 soon from Black is really something to take seriously. Because after Bishop takes Alpha 4, Black then might play Knight to Charlie 4, threatening Queen to Bravo 2 checkmate. And if I would play Queen to Charlie 1, there would be knight alpha 3 check, and I would lose the queen because I have to play queen takes alpha 3. So I have to add troops to the defense on my king, and I do so by I don't do it now, but I first put in the intermediate foxtrot takes golf 6. Foxtrot takes golf 6. Yeah, then we can see that also black has to watch out. Now I threaten golf takes foxtrot 7 check. If knight captures, I have queen to golf 6 check. And then the knight on foxtrot 7 will fall because I have my bishop on bravo 3 as well. But because of this, black pushes knight to Charlie 4, or hops to Charlie 4 with a knight. Knight Charlie 4. So you see that alpha 4 was too late here because I had this golf takes foxtrot 7. But now black's threat is queen to bravo 2, of course, checkmate. But I put in the intermediate golf takes foxtrot 7 check anyway. Golf takes foxtrot 7, and black plays king takes foxtrot 7. What else? So at least one can see here that the diagonal from bravo 3 has opened, so that black's knight on Charlie 4 is pinned because of the white bishop on bravo 3. And that actually comes with a resource that I completely overlooked during the game. I played queen Charlie 1, also a good move. Stockfish declares that I have a 1 position clearly, but it is still very, very sharp. I was not at all so certain of how things would go. It was a very tense situation playing the game. Black pushed pawn to alpha 4. Pawn to alpha 4. And yeah, here I had directly winning a move, but what I played in the game was bishop takes Charlie 4 check. Bishop takes Charlie 4 check. Put another timestamp. With the help of Stockfish, when I went through the game while preparing for this recording of the video, I noticed that rook delta 3 was a far better choice than bishop takes Charlie 4. After bishop takes Charlie 4, I'm still clearly better, but rook delta 3 came with a very interesting thing that is good to keep in mind, that I will keep in mind from now on if I again play white in these kinds of position. That during the game I of course was checking that possibility. Rook to delta 3 is one of the standard motifs for white, trying to chase away black's queen. But I thought that queen bravo 4 would cause a lot of problems to me, because the bishop on bravo 3 then is pinned. But as Stockfish just pointed out in a blink, or less, or shorter time than in a blink actually, is that white can play queen to alpha 3. Queen to alpha 3 when black has the queen on bravo 4. And then you see, black cannot take on alpha 3 with the knight because it is pinned. And if black plays queen takes alpha 3, white just plays bishop takes Charlie 4 check, rook takes Charlie 4, and rook takes alpha 3. And that means that I have managed to swap pieces. And that is, of course, something that you very much welcomes when your king is attacked and you are actually material up. If I can swap pieces and just transfer to an endgame where I am an exchange up and the position is open, so my rook can actually do that job. That is fantastic, of course. So this queen to alpha 3 would mean that black has to move the queen again, and then I can even capture on alpha 4 with my queen, if nothing else. So this is an important factor in the position that I completely overlooked. But bishop takes Charlie 4 check is still good. Black played rook takes Charlie 4. And now you see the threat of rook bravo 4 threatening the king, and I then would have to play queen to bravo 2, and that would be checkmated. But there is a little tricky dance here that I foresaw, and that also is good for you to keep in mind to see even white's resources in those positions with the exchange sack on Charlie 3. Namely, I played alpha 3, pawn to alpha 3. So the material has decreased. We have exchanged some pieces, which makes it a little bit easier for white to defend the king. But still, it looks a bit shaky. My king's position is almost wide open. Of course, if I get the time, I can play now queen to bravo 2, for example, or rook delta 3, such things. But black plays rook Charlie 5, rook to Charlie 5. Rook to Charlie 5. Again now coming with the threat of rook bravo 5. And at least that would lead to a draw after. If black could play now rook bravo 5 check, I play king alpha 2. But then if nothing else, black can continue with queen to Charlie 4 check, king alpha 1, queen to Charlie 3 check, and repeating the position. If nothing else, maybe black could add more strength to his attack by maneuvering the knight from foxtrot 6, maybe to delta 5, and involve even the knight in the attack. So that might mean that black can go for more than a draw. So I can't just sit still and wait, but that was not what I had planned. I played rook delta 3, rook to delta 3. Yeah, this is a good position for the white rook. I take control over the very important Charlie 3 square, and I also give some more protection to alpha 3. Black played rook bravo 5 check, rook to bravo 5. I played king to alpha 2, king to alpha 2. Black had to move the queen, queen to Charlie 4 check, queen to Charlie 4, and I drop back king to alpha 1, king to alpha 1. And here you can see that what has happened over the last few moves is that black has activated the rook a bit compared to when it was on Charlie 8, but I would say that white has managed to take control over the Bravo 4 square and the Charlie 3 square, thanks to pawn on alpha 3 and the rook to delta 3. Moreover, white now can start to put the pieces in more active positions again by, for example, playing queen delta 2 and maybe even rook bravo 1, so that the rook on hotel 1 would be involved. The reason why black still is making a big drama for white's king is that the rook on hotel 1 still is undeveloped. But as soon as the rook would be involved, then white is clearly winning. Because, yeah, the lines have opened, and then if I can just activate my rook, then it's game over. So, black played knight delta 5, knight to delta 5, which is natural. Now it comes with the threat of playing knight to Charlie 3, which then comes with the threat of queen to alpha 2 checkmate. So of course I have to play queen delta 2. Queen delta 2 taking control of Charlie 3 once again, and also putting more pressure on the knight on delta 5. And yeah, another threat that is good to keep in mind is that white now threatens things like rook to delta 4 and might follow up with rook takes alpha 4 later on. Black played queen Charlie 6, preventing rook to delta 4. Because of then black might have the possibility of playing knight to Charlie 3, because that rook delta 4 doesn't come with that threat. And another thing that black might be interested in playing is rook Charlie 5, and then putting more pressure on Charlie 2, and also trying to keep the control over the Charlie 3 square. But now we come to a very important position. I will actually put a no, I don't think so. Timestamp here. I have to do it after the next move. Here you come to another very important position in the game. So please take your time and think of what you would play as white here to finish black off. Yeah, I came up with the move pawn to Charlie 4. Pawn to Charlie 4, exclamation mark. And yeah, there are spectators in such tournament, both players and other people who just want to be a part of the audience, and I could actually hear that people were reacting to this move. It is a very strange thing to play, opening the position in front of your own king even more. But Charlie 4 is very, very logical. Keeping in mind that you are the exchange up, and if you can activate the last rook, that means rook on hotel 1, even getting it onto an open file, then it should be no problem actually in the position. It's let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns if I calculate correctly, and white are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 5 pawns now, but if I lose the pawn on Charlie 4, I would be down to 4. But if white opens the Charlie file and can take control, can start to counterattack instead, then white wins easily. And of course, black has no choice than to capture on Charlie 4, because there is a fork on the rook on Bravo 5 and the knight on Delta 5. So queen takes Charlie 4. And now the tables are turned, so now it is white who starts playing for the attack. Rook to Charlie 1. Rook to Charlie 1. And we can see that the rook later on can penetrate on the Charlie file, on maybe in the future on Charlie 7, but right now the knight is on Delta 5. Rook Charlie 8 is also another thing to keep in mind. But also now the queen is threatened on Charlie 4, and the Delta 5 knight is very, very loose. It's black cannot move the queen to a square from which it protects the knight on Delta 5. So it's completely game over. But you can find this by calculation, of course, the Charlie 4 move. But if you are well aware of the principles of being the exchange up, open the files, even when it means sacrificing a pawn, then you will find it more easily. Black played queen to Foxtrot 4, queen to Foxtrot 4, but I just capture rook takes Delta 5, rook takes Delta 5. And yeah, black can of course not capture on Delta 5 with the rook, because then because queen takes Foxtrot 4, because the knight that was protecting Foxtrot 4 is now gone. So black, I think, a bit upset of that. His just a minute ago seemingly dangerous attack is now gone. He has lost a piece now. Also, he's full rook down. Played queen to Foxtrot 6, check. Queen to Foxtrot 6. And I played rook Delta 4. Yeah, of course, don't fall into the trap of playing queen to Delta 4, because then black can play rook takes Delta 5, and white cannot capture with the queen, because the queen on Foxtrot 6 and the king on Alpha 1 would mean that the queen on Delta 4 is pinned. But rook Delta 4 is more than enough. And now I threaten to play queen Foxtrot 4 with the exchange of queens. So black played king Echo 8, king to Echo 8. One could be a little bit surprised that black didn't resign already, but yeah, it is not a big problem continuing playing for white with this position. I played pawn to Golf 5, pawn to Golf 5. And this comes with a little trick that I don't know if black fell for it, but he just played queen takes Foxtrot 3. What else to do? Maybe just checking if I had seen what I could play in response, which I did. I played queen Delta 3, queen to Delta 3, threatening the queen on Foxtrot 3 and the rook on Bravo 5, which means that black has to accept the exchange of queens, either by playing queen takes Delta 3, rook takes Delta 3, or by playing rook to Foxtrot 5. And yeah, with a rook up in the end game, my opponent didn't want. Yeah, he actually believed that I could turn it into a full point, so he resigned. So from this game, I think you can learn the patterns of white's defense here. we had such a knight jump to Foxtrot 5. That was a piece sacrifice, actually, although it was so clear that black couldn't play Golf takes Foxtrot 5 because of the Golf 5 would be open and white to capture there. So not much to brag about having seen. More important is that when white then could take the pawns on Golf 6 and on Foxtrot 7, the black king on Foxtrot 7 made it more difficult for black to carry through the attack. We had this example of where at one point where I took bishop takes Charlie 4, instead had rook delta 3 and then queen alpha 3 because of the knight on Charlie 4 was pinned in front of the king on Foxtrot 7. That is one motif that you could keep in mind. Also, dropping the king to Bravo 1 so that you can go back, retreat with the queen to Charlie 1, defending the black squares around the white king, and also rook delta 3 as resource, and also the quite beautiful move, I would say, pushing pawn to Charlie 4, winning material in this case, but also in general opening lines, opening files for the two rooks. So I think it was a pretty fun game, and also it was good to actually have an example of where white wins, although black has sacrificed the exchange on Charlie 3. The exchange sacrifice is often very promising, but of course it is double-edged and gives chances for both sides. And with this, I hope that you have learned quite a bit through this mini-series about black's exchange sack on Charlie 3, and I will continue with more thematic analysis. Very, very soon, I would say. Thank you for watching.